Alright, hello everyone. Excuse my voice, it's a little hoarse because I've been very sick for the past few days, but I wanted to get this recorded. This is my lesson on collage in the style of Romare Bearden. So when class starts, I would just have this picture projected on the screen, and I'm not going to tell my students anything about it. I just want them to look at it and think about it and find all the little interesting things about it. Okay, so for the first few minutes of class, they'll be just looking at this. After that, in their sketchbooks, they'll respond to these questions. What is the subject of the collage? What time period might it have taken place? Where could it be? How does it make you feel? And what could the message behind the piece be? These questions are just to get their minds rolling and to get them thinking a little bit deeper into the work. Once they respond to those, I'm going to have them discuss amongst their small groups what their answers might be. And their small groups are created by just the seating arrangement that I have. I have clusters of students, so they can discuss amongst their groups of about 3 or 4. All right, after that, we'll be posting some factual things about this painting, collage. So it's by Romare Bearden. The title is Jazz Village. It was done in 1967, and it's a mixed media collage. So just from those few bits of information, we can tell just a little bit more about the work, and we can see if our initial assumptions line up at all with what it could actually be. So then we'll move on to a few facts about Romare Bearden. He was born in 1911 in rural North Carolina, and he moved to Harlem as a toddler, which was a huge center of Black culture, which really influenced his work. He often depicts African American life and traditions, stories from religion, history, literature, myth. As we saw in that collage that we were just looking at, he'll depict blues singers and jazz players, and also memories from places that he's been. His signature medium is collage, but he's also a painter, printmaker, musician, and writer, a very creative guy. And he, to make his collages, uses cutouts and clippings from magazines, newspaper, foil, posters, really anything that he could find. He would also paint pieces of paper and then cut shapes from that to create his collages. He also really enjoyed printmaking, so he would, cut pieces from things that he print made. So now we would check out a few different collages by Romare. This one I want to start with because it shows how much detail he put into his work. There's so many pieces to make one larger picture. I love this use of the flower down here. It's just one very small detail that just makes it feel that much more real and personal. We can see in the background there's a train in the mountains. Over here we got this little rooster. All these pieces are just all these separate pieces that he put together to create this scene. Alright, this next collage is really cool because it uses, again, so many different pieces, but it's not quite as chaotic as the first one. He uses a lot of different pieces and patterns to make one item. Okay, so we have the face of this guy. It looks like it's probably 3 or 4 different people's faces that he cut up and put together to make one. And he also added some texture in there by maybe using a piece of color or painted paper or a pattern from a magazine. Did the same thing with the suit. I mean, even the guitar is made up of many pieces of a piece of paper that is the same color. Just so much effort put into these. And then this one of my favorites with that bright pink sky. again, a train in the background. Okay, we've got the field worker in the background. That's something about this one I really like, and I want to point out is the distinct foreground and background. We've got these two figures in the front made up of a few different pieces. And then another thing I'd like to point out is the window over here in this little house. You can see a person peeking through. He liked to use windows in his work. It's like a little picture within a picture. This next one, again, has a very distinct foreground and background. The background's nice and plain. I mean, the sky is like this one solid blue. The grass is this basically one solid green. You can see up here the clouds. They look like they're made from probably painted paper that he had cut out. There's our train. Okay. Again with the windows. Nothing going on in those windows, but they're there. And then I chose this last one because it's very different, but also fits right in with the rest of his work. This one doesn't have a distinct foreground and background. It's very flat, but it's still many pieces making one. The motif of windows. Yeah, there's somebody peeking through this one again. There's that dark figure in the corner, or on that far right side. So many different pieces to make one. So then after looking at these, we'd go into the characteristics of Bearden's work. He used collage, he used mixed media. There was often a distinct background and foreground. He used many pieces to make one. And he makes a statement with his work. He tries to make you feel something, to make you think about something, to see it from a different point of view. He's trying to share his culture and his beliefs and his background with us. And so now we would lead that into a project, and this would be sort of my largest assessment of the lesson. So my students would be to make their own Bearden style collage using him as kind of like a style guide. So first, amongst their small groups, I would like them to discuss what they would like to say through their own piece, how they might incorporate their background, culture, or beliefs into their work. And so the requirements would be that it has to be at least 10 inches by 10 inches, maybe larger, maybe different proportions. It must be a collage. It must send some sort of message, whether it be political, about social justice, about something that's going on in the world. And then it must reflect their background, culture, and beliefs in some way. And then I would like my students to start sketching ideas before they come show me. And then once they think that they've got a good one, they can show me, and I'll see if I can approve the idea, and then they can get started. And I would like them to really think hard about what they're trying to say and how they're going to say it, because at the very end, once they're done making their piece, they're going to be writing an artist statement that kind of restates their message and gives a rationale for why they depicted what they depicted and their reasoning behind really all of the major decisions of their work. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed.